Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, where we link the things happening throughout the four corners of the earth, as well as here in Babylon the Great. We link these things to the Holy Scriptures so that the faithful elect, the remnant, can know and understand the times that they're in. Okay, as the Scriptures say, a wise man's mind or heart knoweth both time and judgment. All right, so being locked into the Spirit is knowing the times that we are in. All right, and as we are commanded to detach from this world and prepare for, all right, the second Exodus, which will be performed here in Babylon the Great, the new spiritual Egypt. But the Lord is also going to gather together his elect who are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. A miraculous thing is coming for us. As the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, let us know that, all right, the times that we are living in, all right, or heading into, will be associated with a time worse than any other time that the earth has ever seen. And about a year ago, I remember saying, I guarantee you that has a lot to do with AI. As a matter of fact, get it, Daniel, the 12th chapter, all right, which Israelites have a problem with us bringing out the talking point of Jacob's trouble and, the straight gate we have to go through. Well, it's not our problem. This is Daniel 12:1, and at that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that is found written in the book. Okay, and it's going to be a time of trouble, all right, because we know the devil is going to come down with great wrath, all right, but he's going to be operating in a high level spirit of Satanism, anti-Messiah, okay, and AI has everything to do with the reason for the angels having to intervene under Yahweh Shai, okay, because what he is doing in the planet Earth is setting up a system of AI takeover, AI governance, in which you will have to bow to that image. Okay? You're going to have to bow to that image. All right? And ultimately accept this technocracy. Okay? And the oath to be brought fully into it will be the RFID microchip. Okay? It's going to happen in our time. Okay? So for all of you camps playing games with the word, okay, prophecy is not playing games. Okay, and the so-called white man, these technocrats, are not playing games either. Okay, Esau, Edom, and all of the various different nations who are gathered with him, all right, are very, very serious about this technocracy, this AI takeover. Okay, and I wanted to get into a few things associated, all right, with how they're going to make you bow to the image. All right, because we know the image of the beast, which the beast is the fourth beast. All right, what the ancient Western Roman Empire, which was promised to be revived into the earth, which the Renaissance, all right, marked, all right, the deadly wound being healed. We'll get into a few of those things. But with that, from Italy, the Spanish, the French, the British, America, the NATO, the EU, the small hats, they've been able to, through a blessing given unto them by Isaac, have the fatness of the earth, control of all of the resources, a powerful military, which the Lord is dividing, and, science and technology out of this world. It is their left-handed blessing. And with that, they are setting up a scenario on the planet Earth where they're going to replace nature. They're going to replace God. They're going to replace everything that we knew, all right, and govern it via artificial intelligence, pseudoscience, and madness. And you, as a human being on the planet Earth, will have to bow to this technocracy, to this AI takeover, or all right, you will be barred out of society and eventually put on a list where it's legal to torture you and take you out of the earth. Okay? I wanted to start with this video here, okay, because this devil is being revealed. 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. NLT, this man will come to do the work of Satan. What does the word Satan mean? Adversary. You know, people hear us say the white man is the devil, the so-called white man, which, again, you have certain people who look so-called white, all right, that aren't Edomites. They could be Israelites. They can be, you know, of another nation. But the Edomite, all right, is who this is talking about. Okay, the coming of lawlessness, right, is according to the working of Satan. So this man, this lawless, okay, beast, will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power and signs and miracles. And we're witnessing counterfeit power, pseudoscience, all right, day in and day out of this man ruling. So I want to start with this video here, the Hopeful Elect 3, subscribe and be edified, the AI takeover, dismantling the school system. Okay, just an example of what this technocracy and AI takeover plans to do on the planet Earth. It gets worse than this. Okay, but check this out. Yep, Sirach 12 and 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. Okay, the way they're bringing about this technology is that it's going to help the world and that it's here to, you know, save the day for all of the, you know, human failures. But in his heart, he imagineth how to throw thee in the pit. And that's what they're setting up, a pit. Okay, a total, all right, world, global, all right, technological enslavement, to where your every move will be tracked, traced. Okay, your carbon footprint will be tracked, traced. Okay, and they will be able to what? Be God. All right, your access to resources will all be based upon your social credit score. Your ability to buy and sell will all be based upon you having an M0tb. Okay, and they are deadly serious about this plan. The scriptures prophesied these very times before they came to pass. John the Revelator saw what we are witnessing, what we are living through. Okay? He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. It's a beautiful scripture. Check this out.
Pioneering education's new frontier. Every click, every keystroke at Austin's Alpha School is guided by artificial intelligence.
Considered for school.
Students like 8-year-old Alina Boyce spend only 2 hours in the morning on science, math, and reading, working at their own speed using personalized AI-driven software.
Right now, And I HLFO, I'm supposed to be 4th grade.
Okay.
But science, I'm on like 6th, 7th grade.
You are?
Yeah.
Very curious to see if you can slingshot this.
Adults in the classroom are called guides, not teachers, and earn six-figure salaries. Their job is to encourage and motivate. Can an algorithm replace the expertise of someone like yourself?
I don't think it's replacing. I think it's just working in tandem.
Afternoons are different. Students tackle projects teaching financial literacy and public speaking. Life skills, founder Mackenzie Price says, are invaluable. What advantage does the learning that you're employing here have over traditional schools?
There is such a huge advantage when students can be met at the level and pace of learning that is right for them.
Now, Grace was not an educator before starting the school.
The school system itself is trash. The educational system is absolutely behind and horrible. All right, but before you know it, AI robots will be teaching children. Doctors will be performing surgeries. Robot doctors will be performing surgeries. Okay? Preachers at these churches will be replaced by robots and artificial intelligence. This is the new religion that they are setting up in the planet Earth. And it starts off in small increments. All right? But this is why Bill Gates said what? We do not need human beings for most things anymore. In the world that they imagine, human beings will be relegated to 15-minute cities, microchipped up, okay, compliant to the rulers and the powers that be. And if you even have a thought against them, you will be taken out of the planet Earth. You had this guy, Ellison, this technocrat, Ellison, I forget his name, Steve Ellison, Bill Ellison, one of them, Ellison, but is it Larry Ellison? Yeah, Larry Ellison, I believe his name is. It's killing me, so let me look it up. Larry Ellison, yeah, that's his name. All right. He said he wants people to be more obedient. Okay? He wants people to be more obedient. Okay? He believes that pervasive AI-powered surveillance systems could lead to a future where citizens are on their best behavior due to constant monitoring. Okay? Separately, he has a personal philosophy that in general, people regularly mistake obedience for intelligence. So this dude's a Satanist. And this is who Donald Trump is rubbing elbows with, presenting to you. Which they laugh at Donald Trump. They don't take him serious. They are there to do the bidding of the super rich elite. Okay? They're just the face of something that's even bigger behind closed doors, man. That's running this all. Okay? They already got in Albania an AI-generated minister. Listen to this demonic shit. Excuse my Swahili.
I am not here to replace people, but to assist them. Truly, I do not have citizenship, nor do I have any personal ambition or interests. I only have data, a thirst for knowledge, and algorithms dedicated to serving citizens impartially, transparently, and tirelessly. Isn't this precisely the spirit of constitutional democracy, exercising power in the service of everyone, free from bias, discrimination, nepotism, or corruption?
Yeah, an AI priest, AI minister. Albania's AI minister is a virtually entitled entity named Delia, or Dila, all right, who was appointed in September 2025 and is tasked with overseeing public procurement and to reduce corruption. So this is the new government that's being set up. This is the new wave of the world that they want. We can look at a little bit more of this.
In 2014, there are now 16 campuses and big backers. The education secretary visited last month. You're turning the learning over to a laptop. What about the importance of an educator in a child's life?
So our guides are not teaching academic content, but they are connecting. In fact, every week, every one of our students.
Look at these people. This man, all right, the women included, will come to do the working of Satan with counterfeit signs, all right, and miracles. Okay?
Students gets 30 minutes of one-on-one concentrated time with their guides. And during the workshops in the afternoons, they are connecting and interacting in a group experience.
That progress isn't cheap. Tuition at Austin's Alpha School starts at $40,000 a year. How is this applicable to standard education?
We recognize that there is a huge mountain of challenges that come in a large public system. So what I hope that Alpha can be is an example, an inspiration, and help families understand that this model of education is something that can work.
While the school says its students test in the top 1% on standardized assessments, AI models have been met with skepticism by educators who say they're unproven. Though there's no disputing students like Smith Adrian are engaged. So far, you think what?
Amazing.
Reshaping learning with artificial intelligence at the head of the class.
So a lot of teachers are adjusting to the big change of AI in the classroom. In April, the president released an executive order pushing for AI and student and teacher engagement. And in San Francisco, they just rolled out the first Alpha school, AI school, where students would be learning solely from an AI software. There are a lot of companies that are pushing towards the integration of AI in schools. It's also been said that the goal is to teach students about data, AI, and use that as an opportunity for them to fast track right into the workforce. Teachers would be more so facilitators, guides, mentors.
Eventually, you won't need a teacher. This is, again, all right, he joked. See if we can pull it up here. Damn, I don't have a Facebook. Okay, it comes up.
AI, and that's the big topic.
Don't need humans for most things. Okay, Peter Thiel also says something similar. Okay, but if you are going to be a human, you will need to what? Upgrade yourself and merge yourself with machine. Okay? Being a normal human being will not work in the world that they have to come. And you're going to tell me this man ain't the devil? Let's look that up. Peter Thiel, right? Humans, forget the human race. See what he says. See if we can pull it up.
Right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions I'm
Should the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And
these are the people that are at the forefront of where your government and where the world is going.
Critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or a transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses, and a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina. And we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity, by the way.
Yeah, transhumanism. because we're not going to need humans anymore. So if you do want to, live on Earth as a human, your only chance to keep up is to be merged with machine. They got AI hospital. They got AI hospitals in China already. Full-blown AI hospitals. Okay? China's AI hospital, a new era in healthcare.
Are scoring 93% diagnostic accuracy at China's new Tsinghua University's AI.
So regular doctors ain't gonna be able to keep up. So in order to, be, have some type of, skin in the game, well, hey, you gonna have to upgrade.
Agent Hospital.
Because the robots is getting to 93% accuracy.
It's the first medical facility in the world operated entirely by artificial intelligence. It could change healthcare forever. In the simulations, AI doctors treat thousands of hypothetical patients at once. These AI agents train across 21 specialties. No real patients are treated by the AI, it's just advanced simulation. But is this the blueprint for future hospitals? Let me know what you think.
Yes, it is. This is what's coming.
Tours.
We back to the teacher thing.
And in some cases, cutting down time for schooling. Some have felt like this would replace a lot of teachers assistants, concerned that students won't be able to develop their cognitive skills as they won't be able to interact with others. In some cases, that peer-to-peer interaction, it will all be based off of a student working with their AI instructor, which is an individual process. There's also been concern as it relates to certain districts or school systems having the funding for the top of the line resources to give to their students in lower income areas. How will those students be able to compete with the other students or even be on the same page as the other students? They're encouraging teachers not to leave, but to adapt, to get trained. Let me know how you all feel about this.
Has AI already replaced your child's human public school teacher? That's what's happening in Houston, Texas, and a lot of parents don't even know about it. I didn't find out till halfway through the semester when I got a letter home encouraging parents to have their kids spend more time with their robot teacher at home. One of the programs HISD is using is called Amira, and it...
Let's see, Amira. And all of these names mean things, but see, in times past, you bowed to idols that just stood still. Okay. An example is here in Daniel, the 3rd chapter. Okay. Nebuchadnezzar of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Okay. An Assyrian, it says here, Daniel 3:3. I start at 2. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent to gather together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, and so forth, okay, they were gathered together into the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image. Then an herald cried out, all right, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at the time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, all right, and the different musical instruments, ye fall down and worship the golden image Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth it, shall in the same hour be cast into a midst of a burning furnace. Okay? And in verse 8, it goes into our people, Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and so forth. The 3 holy children in particular, refusing to worship the image. Wherefore at the time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews because they refused to adhere to the decree. Now, this was a standstill image, an idol, okay, which we know idols, pursuant to the Book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter in the 12th verse, it says, sexual immorality began when idols were invented. They have corrupted human life ever since they were first made. Idols have not always existed, nor will they exist forever. It was human pride that brought them into the world. That is why a quick end has been planned for them. You see, it was human pride that brought them into the world, and a quick end, okay, is planned for them. Okay, because idolatry leads to what? People void of fear of the Lord, which leads to immoral and lewd behavior, pride, okay, vanity being forwarded, folly being set in great dignity. And this is the world we see. Okay? And it gives you the result of idol worship here in this chapter. Okay? Verse 28, people who worship idols lose control of themselves in ecstasy. They have no limits, or pass off lies as prophecies, or live wickedly, or break their word without hesitation. They tell lies under oath and expect no punishment, because the idols they put their trust in are lifeless. See, idols of the ancient world were lifeless. They didn't, move. They didn't talk. But we're living in a time where now the idol, okay, artificially has intelligence. See, ancient artificers, see if we can look something up here. And artificer. Sirach 9 and 17. Let's get it in the G&T. Sirach 9 and 17. Sirach 9 in the G&T. It's verse 17. Let's go to what it says. It says, a skilled worker is admired for the things he makes, and a leader's wisdom is proved by his words. All right. And what it says in the King James is that for the hand of an artificer shall the work be commended. Okay. So artificers in the ancient times made idols, made things, carved out things. It could be used for, good to help build something, but it was also used to create idols. Okay. For the purpose of, leading people to bow to it and make it a god. Okay. So ancient idols, right, were created for the purpose of what? Making men to bow to them. Now, when we read the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, Revelation 13 and 14, it says, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do. All right. And who's this talking about? This is speaking of what Babylon the Great would do, the revival of Rome. Okay. This chapter, which we have lessons going into this chapter. If you don't know where it is, ask on the comment board. All right. But we break this whole thing down. Okay. But for the sake of the lesson, I'm just going to jump. Okay. Because it talked about Revelation 13 and 12, and he exercised it. All right. This Revelation 13 and 11, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon, the democratic and republican system, mimicking the plebeians, patricians of the ancient Western Roman Empire. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. This is Rome. Okay. This is Rome. They're ruling with the same energy and power of Rome. There are so many, all right, ways where you can link today's world to the ancient Greco-Roman Empire. I was looking at this article. I didn't really read too much into it. I'll tap into it later, but it says, to understand Trump, look at the Roman Empire. Okay, this is Rome all over again. Okay, when you get Daniel the 7th chapter, it told you that Rome would be revived. The fourth beast would live again in the latter days. Okay, and Rome would dominate the earth. So he's exercising all the power of the first beast before him, and calls it the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And the deadly wound being healed, all right, goes back to the Renaissance period. Rome fell for a period of 1,000 years, the Western Roman Empire, and it was revived via the Renaissance, thus the deadly wound being healed. And that has led to this. And when you get about, to the British Empire, you get what you call the first Industrial Revolution. Then you have the second Industrial Revolution. You have the third. Now they're at the fourth, where they want to merge man with machine. You see that? And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. When NATO first bombed, Bosnia, I believe, Kosovo. All right. And then there were other events in the future, like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. People looked at the Edomite, especially the rulers of the West, as God. We can't, they're uneffwittable, And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, going into his industrial revolutions and his ability, all right, to use, so-called science and technology. Okay. Miracles. Okay. The ability to heal people. All right. And make the blind see, and make people who can't use particular limbs use them via brain chips. And all of this stuff is what people are looking at, and they're wowed by it. They're enamored with it. It's just like, whoa, the AI. The word miracle, as we always show you. Okay. The word miracle is semion. Okay. It says that by which a person or a thing is distinguished from others and is known, a sign, a prodigy, a portent, an unusual occurrence transcending the common course of nature. See, and this is what we're witnessing. Okay, a sign of portending remarkable events soon to come. Okay, and they're doing miracles by what? Left hand means, by the means of Satan. And see, what they're doing is they're deceiving them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles, setting themselves up to be saviors, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had a wound by a sword and did live. And that's the ancient Western Roman Empire. You're worshiping the gods of ancient Rome. You're bowing to the same government of ancient Rome. Okay, the holy days, they're just repackaged and rebranded. Okay, where did the Greeks and the Romans get their gods and their system of worship? From the Egyptians. Thus, spiritual Sodom in Egypt. Okay, fast food, that goes back to Rome. Okay, you have a gymnasium, that goes back to the Greco-Roman Empire. And so many more things. The classic, the philosophers and different, wise men of the, Western Roman Empire, all of their philosophies live today. Okay. This is the Roman Empire. Okay. All I have to do, as a matter of fact, let's go to chat, which you should know this, but we have new listeners. So what are some ways America mimics ancient Rome? I mean, you have there are many ways in which America mirrors ancient Rome, both in structure and spirit. The comparison has been made by historians, theologians, and philosophers. Political parallels, republic to empire shift. Rome began as a republic, Senate, all of that is all back here today. Military and empire. It's many ways it mimics. You know, I don't even feel like going through it because we go through it so much. But there are many ways. There are many ways that America mimics the ancient Western Roman Empire. And if you need videos on it, just ask on the comment board if you want, because you know we have various videos on it. Okay, but there are many ways. So going back here, just to hit the point, okay, Revelation 13 and 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image, that they should be killed. And how is the image speaking? Because of the very system you live in, all right, speaks, all right, the very ancient Greco-Roman Empire into existence. But now what we're witnessing, all right, is here. He had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, all right, and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast, that they should be killed. You see? And this is what they're setting up with this AI governance. You're going to have to bow to this technocracy. See, and let's get the book of Habakkuk. All right. Habakkuk 2 and 18. What profit the graven image that the maker thereof have graven it, and the molten image, and a teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusted therein to make dumb idols? See, dumb idols in the ancient world were just dumb idols. They were just sitting there, right? But this idol, these idols that they're creating now actually speak, teach, right? Woe unto him that saith to wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise. It shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. So you see here, let's get this in the NLT. What sorrow awaits you who say to wooden idols, wake up and save us? To speechless stones, images, you say, rise up and teach us. But now they're able to tell the idol to actually teach, and it's actually teaching. See? And they're setting up AI governance and this as the new wave of how life will be forwarded going forward.
Differs from previous educational software in that the actual stories your child is reading are being generated on the spot without any human supervision by an AI. The reasons to be concerned are enormous, considering that some of the top creators of AI have admitted they don't understand how it works and have no real control over it, requiring...
Well, did not your boy Elon Musk say that with AI we're summoning a demon? I'm pretty sure y'all saw it, right? He said with AI, we are summoning a demon.
Them to outsource the labor of filtering out the tons of extremely violent, traumatic, disturbing, and pornographic content that AI chatbots generate to workers in the global south. But hey, let's trust Amira. I mean, look at her. She's a cute, young, attractive Latina teacher, or maybe child. I don't know, but she looks harmless, right? As soon as I found out, I went to my parents' group text and I was like, y'all, do you know they're using AI to teach our kids? And I told them about Amira, but they went to the website and they looked at the research and it sounds so good. They've got these slick graphs that show
we're witnessing prophecy. Didn't it just say they're going to deceive people by these miracles?
Going up. But in my former life, friends, I was actually a reading interventionist teacher for 10 years, ended up being director of reading intervention curriculum for a large charter school district, and I have a currently very unused master's in public school administration, and I'm a certified principal in the state of Texas. And let me tell you a little something about Amira's educational research. It's meaningless garbage. Oh, when they say what Amira's working on with your kids, it is the right things according to the science of reading. But when you read the actual research, the first gigantic red flag is that the research was paid for by Amira Learning, rendering it completely unreliable and meaningless. And even more obviously, all the study is comparing is users with non-users, meaning they were comparing kids getting the reading instruction with Amira to kids not getting the reading instruction with Amira, or maybe at all.
All right, so they're setting up this system. They're setting up this technocracy, right? And remember what Romans, the 11th chapter says. Romans 11 and 4. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him, speaking about Elijah? I have reserved unto myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. See? And what we are witnessing, all right, is the image of Baal, both speak and live. As a matter of fact, let's get Jeremiah 50, right? Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, and the 2nd verse. Declare ye among the nations, publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded. Marduk is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. So through this word, okay, we're casting down imaginations, okay? Let's get that. Casting down imaginations. All right, we're not here to fight. All right, we're here to just preach. 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought, all right, to the obedience of Yahweh Shai. So we were set, all right, when you read Revelation 13 and Revelation 14, all right, to be at the forefront of not bowing the image, all right, to the remnant of Israel. The prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua would have the gospel, all right, that will ultimately warn you. Let's get it. Revelation 14, all right, the new song, right? 14 and 9. And the third angel, which symbolizes the angels carrying a message from the heavens, all right, on earth through the men of the Lord, through the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, which can only be sent by Yahweh Shai. And the third angel, saying with a loud voice, follow them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark upon his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High. So if you worship the beast, okay, and his image, which is his system, and take his mark, okay, because if you worship the beast in his image, you by default are going to take his mark. But this is a gospel. You have to understand, this new song is an everlasting gospel that we are out here preaching. So what they're saying is that if you don't bow to my image, you're going to be killed, which we show you all the time, the word killed. Okay, the word killed. Okay, it can mean, you know, to actually kill, but it can also mean to be separated. Okay? It says any kind of separation from one thing or from another by which the union or fellowship of the two is destroyed. So you won't be able to have fellowship, okay? Because the way that they're going to present this system is that ultimately this is the new religion. This is life itself. See? And if you are against it, if you speak against our idols, if you speak against our technocracy, then you don't have the right to live or buy or sell or have fellowship with this system, which by then all of the corporations are going to have all of the power, all right, centralized to themselves. Okay? This is what we are. This is where we are. Okay? They are setting up AI governance to take over every goddamn thing. Okay, we told you about the digital ID. We've been talking about it. All right, here it is. You have Apple introduces digital ID, a new way to create and present an ID in Apple Wallet. So they are moving fast. Digital ID offers a secure and private way for users to create an ID in Apple Wallet using information from their U.S. passport and present their ID with iPhone or Apple Watch. Okay, they are moving fast into this system. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's look at a little bit on that.
Hi, everyone. Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released Apple's digital ID for passports. It's finally here. It's a feature they announced quite some time ago, and it's available now on your iPhone. So I thought we'd talk about the requirements, how it works, how you actually add your passport, and where it can be used as well. Now, the overall requirements are pretty simple. It's only in the USA for now, on iOS 26.1 and later. You can add it from your Apple Wallet app. So if we go into Wallet, on the top of the Wallet app, we'll tap on the plus here, and now we can add it to our wallet under driver's license and ID cards. So if we go into that option, you'll see under United States, we have a new option for digital ID. If we go into this, give it a second, you'll see it says digital ID. Use your U.S. passport to create a digital ID that can be used to book flights or hotels, pass through TSA checkpoints for domestic travel, open new accounts, and more. You can add it to your iPhone and Apple Watch or just your iPhone only. If we go ahead and add this, give it a second, what we'll do is to show you the first step is I'll go to the government's page here where we have the Department of State with a sample passport. So you can get past this first step, but you'll need additional steps in order to verify. So again, you just hold it over your passport just like you would with a license. It will process. We'll give it a moment here. But now you'll actually have to place your iPhone on the chip within the passport. So it says find the barcode on the inside back cover of your U.S. passport and place your iPhone on the chip as shown. So of course you need a real passport to get through that next step, and there may be additional verification steps as well. You'll see they have a section where it says how to create a digital ID, and if we go forward here, you may actually have to scan your face similar to Face ID so it can verify it's with you, and then also you may have to wait for it to be approved. So there's additional steps here. You have to submit it for verification. Once it checks everything is correct and it's you, then it allows it to continue and be.
So as you can see, they're moving forward with this modern, and this what we read about in Revelation 13, because after he makes you bow to his image, his technocracy, okay, he's going to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads. This mimics the Tower of Babel all over again. Okay, where they have full control. Okay, but as Noah Yuval Harari said, okay, the tyrants of old didn't have the power and technology we have. See that? So they weren't able to pull off, tyranny on the level they really wanted to. All right, but now with the ability to govern one under his skin and surveil you under your skin and know your thoughts, all right, we can now reach depths that ancient tyrants could have only wished for. See that? You see that? So the man of sin is being revealed, okay, at your jobs, okay, at your jobs. Let me bring this up.
This is Twit. How about the news that starting this December, a month and a half, Microsoft Teams will be adding Wi-Fi tracking that can be forced upon its users. That is, the users of Teams clients. I first saw a little blurb about this, which read, Microsoft Teams to get Wi-Fi tracking feature. It said, a new Microsoft Teams feature will let organizations track employees based on nearby Wi-Fi networks. The feature is designed to let employers know what building an employee is working from based on nearby networks. According to privacy experts, the new feature will allow companies to crack down on workers who dodge their return to office mandates. The new Wi-Fi track.
And, they say that, but imagine once they start knowing what you're looking at when you're on their Wi-Fi. Knowing what you're listening to. You go to work and you on their Wi-Fi and you listening to a video. Again, they're setting up tyranny on a whole nother level. Okay? And the cruel Lord is who the Lord has as the face of this technocracy. But we know that these technocrats are the ones really running the show.
Tracking is expected to roll out in December for the Teams Mac and Windows desktop clients. So that's all the little blurb said. That made me curious. So I tracked down Microsoft 365 Roadmaps Notice. Microsoft's title for this is, quote, Microsoft Teams, automatically update your work location via your organization's Wi-Fi. Well, that sounds nice, right? Innocuous enough? Who would want to have that turned on? Microsoft's short summary of that reads, when users connect to their organization's Wi-Fi, Teams will soon be able to automatically update their work location to reflect the building they're working from. This feature will be off by default. Tenant admins will decide whether to enable it and require end users to opt in.
So, as this technocracy gets deeper and deeper, they're going to have everything. And once your job finds out, once the digital ID, the social credit score is really set up, they will be able to bar you out of this system. All right, because you and your values and what you stand for go against our image. So you can't work here. I mean, already, okay, something I was reading earlier. Yeah. Jobs are just being cut. How much more as they get deeper and deeper into what they're trying to do. Okay. EU to establish Ministry of Truth. The European Union plans to counter the spread of disinformation, all right, which Brussels claim could erode trust in democratic systems, all right, and pretty much is going to be trust in the technocracy, conspiracy theorists and people who say particular things, the M0tb talking point, that's eroding trust. We're going to have to get you up out of there. According to a leaked document seen by The Guardian, the EU is stepping up efforts to launch a centralized hub for monitoring and countering what it calls foreign disinformation. The proposal has been met with sharp criticism from the U.S., all right, with its State Department describing the move as Orwellian. You keep hearing these terms. They're going to come with it anyway, adding that censorship is not freedom. Okay? So this is what they're doing. Okay, this is what they're on, man. Okay, let's get that in the book of Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59. Here we go. Let's get Isaiah the 59th chapter. And let's get it in the NLT. Verse 14, it says, our courts oppose the righteous, and justice is nowhere to be found. Truth stumbles in the streets, and honesty has been outlawed. See that? Honesty is going to be outlawed in the NWO. Don't let these devils fool you with this talking point of being Christian nationalist. When it's all said and done, the Bible will be outlawed. Street preaching and prophesying will be outlawed. Okay? Yes, truth is gone, and anyone who renounces evil is attacked. The Lord looked down and was displeased to find that there was no justice. It amazed to see that no one intervened. He was amazed to see that no one intervened to help the oppressed. So he himself stepped in to save them with his strong arm, and that's Yahweh Shai. And other angels like Michael are going to have their part in our deliverance, because we're going to have to be delivered from this. All these data centers being set up. Okay? All over the place. All over the place, man. And they ain't going to stop. Okay? It ain't going to stop. Let's see here. All right.
In other words, by policy, it can be forced on. So it's not clear from that wording, what happens if you were to connect from your local Starbucks Wi-Fi. But it at least suggests that corporate would know you are not on campus. I imagine we'll hear from some of our teams using listeners once this starts rolling out at the end of the year. I'll be interested to find out, like what sort of granularity this provides. If you're logging in from Starbucks, does it just say off campus or we don't know? Or maybe it'll say, oh, you're at Starbucks.
Tyranny is on the horizon. I mean, we read it. We always read it in Revelation 13 and 11, where he had two horns like a lamb and spake as two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. The dragon represents harsh, draconian methods and rules of, that people are going to have to abide by. You're going to be heavily surveilled, just like in China. Okay? As a matter of fact, let's look at a little bit of this.
Play this clip. This clip is an example of what could happen with digital ID systems. It's for educational purposes to help us think about the possibilities and the risk before signing up for anything. I'm not saying this is happening to everyone, but it shows you why understanding how these systems works and why it matters.
Morning.
I'm filming all the time.
What time is it?
I don't know.
Let's have a look at your points. How many have you got?
That's the same. It doesn't change every day.
How many do you want?
Don't know. I'm not at the maximum.
Is that possible?
I don't know.
What are we going to do today?
I'll go shopping.
My name's Sebastian, and I'm French. Lulu is my wife, and she's Chinese. We live in Beijing. Let's film ourselves for a year. Is that okay with you?
Don't I get a private life?
Well, I don't have one anyway.
Shut up.
Starting up in China, it's more than a habit. It's a survival technique. I don't think there are any spy cameras in my own home, but there are plenty of reasons to be paranoid. Welcome to our apartment in North Beijing, outside the 4th Orbital Road. This is where I live with Lulu since 2007. We live an ordinary life as a married couple, except for one detail. We're never really alone. On our landing or in a lift, they're everywhere. China has at least one surveillance camera for every 2 inhabitants. Electronic eyes which are always watching us. Today, Lulu wants to show me the City Council's latest idea. Is that what you wanted to show me? That screen?
If you cross when the light's red, either in a car or walking, you get displayed on the screen.
And what's the point of that?
To show everyone you broke the rules. Maybe later on you'll lose points.
We won't cross on red then.
Social credit score. All right, you crossed the street while the light was red. It takes away from your points, but they put you all on the screen. Like, look at this, he's an offender.
The cars don't care though.
Yes, it's for everyone. They'll be displayed as well. It's not just for the pedestrians, it's for everyone. You see that girl crossing?
What do you think of this system?
It's to make people follow the rules, to stop them doing stupid things. But it's a bit like being treated like children.
$23 million children in Beijing, 1.4 billion in China as a whole. Children like my wife earn or lose points, are punished or rewarded, depending on their behavior. An entire population under surveillance. Cameras in the street, mobile phone apps, insurance files, police records, bank statements, medical records. In China, all the data are instantly digitized. Smart cities, which supposedly use 5G and big data to improve citizens' lives, are in fact huge surveillance networks.
Why you think they setting up all these data centers around your ass?
Taking the metro, buying food, buying a book. All these everyday acts are archived by the great digital harvester. Harvesting is done by the regime, which collates all the data to build a digital portrait of each citizen. All the Chinese now have a digital double, which lives its life in Beijing's computer servers. A double which is marked, appraised, and judged by the party's computers. To the citizens, it's like a game or a loyalty program. Their loyalty earns them points. Bad marks damage their credit. Such is my wife's day-to-day. Lulu and her fellow citizens are faced with this overseer judging every hour, every second of their lives. To make sense of the impact this technological and social revolution has had on her life, I decided to film her daily routine.
The day's just beginning, and you can't live without a phone. It's already begun. I have to order a car.
More than anywhere else in the world, in China, life is impossible without a mobile phone. The country has over 1 billion subscribers.
So when Trump says we need to catch up with China, okay, let's ask chat. Why does Trump always say America needs to catch up with China in the AI race? That's a sharp observation. Trump and many U.S. leaders across the political spectrum have used similar language about catching up with China in the AI race. When Trump says this, he's touching on several key political, economic, and military concerns that make AI a central battleground between great powers. Okay, Trump sees AI dominance as tied to national strength. So this is what Trump wants to bring over here to the Americas. This is why, all right, they're presenting you with so many problems. The solution is going to be AI governance, man. Okay. Again, Trump again, Trump's vision is America first in tech. During and after his presidency, Trump pushed the idea of AI independence. Okay. And he passed, I don't know if it was the big, beautiful bill, but one of them, well, basically AI and these technocrats would be unchecked in what they're setting up here. Okay. It says, bring tech manufacturing like microchips back to U.S. soil, restrict Chinese companies from controlling U.S. data, encourage military and private AI development to ensure American-made intelligence. In short, he sees AI like a modern-day arms race. Whoever controls it gets to set the global order. Okay? Prophetic and biblical reflection. If you look at it from a biblical and prophetic angle, some teachers think this AI race, to the rise of knowledge in world systems prophesied in Daniel Revelation. Okay, Revelation 12:4, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. All right, and knowledge and science are synonymous. Science means knowledge or to know. Okay, and it's increasing. Okay. Revelation 13:15-17 speaks of an image that speaks and controls who can buy or sell. Some see this as AI-driven systems of control and a microchip, of course. Okay. Trump's warnings about AI dominance echo the deeper concern. Whoever builds the global brain of technology controls human life. Okay. So this is where we are. This is the type of system he wants to bring over here to the Americas. But even harder, even deeper, where you're surveilled everywhere you go. But see, it's connected by phone right now. Okay, as they get deeper and deeper into their plan, it will be a microchip. Okay, it's going to happen in our lifetime.
And nothing escapes the apps that Lulu's installed on her smartphone. What do you see on the app? What's his name? The number of trips?
You see his name, his car, the make, the color, the number plate, the number of trips he's made, how long he's had his license. You see everything.
Yeah, so I wanted to get one more video. I don't want to make this too long. Let's see here. Let's go here. Patrick Wood. Okay, because again, all of these heathen are joined hand in hand with this madness. Let's get Psalms 83. And 2, for lo thine enemies. Let's start at 1. Keep thou not silence, O my power. Hold not thy peace, be not still. For lo thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and they have consulted against thy hidden ones. And this is a plan against the elect, against the house of David. Okay? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Because if they're able to complete this plan, they're able to, all right, basically recreate nations, you know, via their madness. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites. You go over there to, you know, where those Arabs are. As it says here. Let's see here. Although we know, you know, Saudi Arabia, just like, you know, places like, you know, what's that place in South America where that Trump sent, you know, 40 billion to, was it Argentina? All right. Ultimately, the president is a small hat. So when you go to Saudi Arabia, the leaders are really small hats. Okay? But as you can see, is Saudi Arabia the most technocratic nation on earth? Okay? They got a lot going on with the technocracy there. But what does the Bible say? The Bible told you that it would be the tabernacles of Edom. Did not Trump go over to Saudi Arabia or UAE, United, you know, Arab? And as a matter of fact, what did he do? Let's see here. Trump, UAE, 500 million for AI infrastructure. There's something he did. It was something that happened a few months ago. Boom. Trump announces a $500 billion, billion dollar AI infrastructure investment to the U.S. But he went over to, let's see. There you go. Trump's $500 billion AI deal includes funding by UAE royal family linked to astonishing number of scandals, including human torture. So there you have it. The Bible told you all of this before it happened. It said the ones that would be at the forefront of this would be the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, which are the so-called Chinese. We just showed you what they got going on. Okay, and the rest of the different nations, what are they trying to do? Psalms, the 2nd chapter, in the 1st verse. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the ruler take counsel against Yahweh and against his anointing, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. See, by this system, all right, NLT, let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High. See, they want to operate outside of the will of the Most High. Okay, and they want to be God. What's that in the book of Ezekiel 28? Hey, this is real, man. This is real. Ezekiel 28:2, that which is then is now. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God. And the modern day prince of Tyrus is the Esau, Edom, and these leaders. They want to sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man and not God, though thy set thine heart as the heart of God. See? Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret they can hide from thee. He's able to, all right, with his technology, predict the future. He knows, everything about you. He knows when you've been, when you listen to that whole Santa Claus, demon. He knows when you've been sleeping. He knows when you've been awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. That's talking about Satan. There's no secret you can hide from thee. Okay? With thy wisdom and thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, human trafficking, drug trafficking, mineral trafficking, animal trafficking, hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God. When you go into it, this prince of Tyrus was a Canaanite, okay, Phoenician, and his pride and how he got rich mimics how Babylon became rich by trafficking on the sea and magic money and debt. Enslaving, just being a devil. But the Lord is going to deal with you. He's going to stop this madness, man. Let's go here. Patrick Wood, caving to AI, technocrats taking over the world. Get some of this and then get a few more. We'll close it out.
Oh, that's just a look backwards.
So, okay, that's fascinating. You were already on this in the late 70s. I want to pause right there because, and the title, The Evil Twins of Technocracy and Transhumanism, you were keeping an eye on this and researching this when almost nobody was looking into this or concerned or even aware that this was coming. What do you attribute that to? What was your interest? What led you into, this path? It's really fascinating to me.
It was because of my work on the Trilateral Commission in the 70s that I was sensitized to this issue, because the Trilateral Commission said all along they wanted to create a new international economic order. We didn't know what that meant at the time. I do now, because there's never been another economic system in the world created from scratch except for technocracy. So when the Trilateral Commission talked about that, and we knew something screwy, but we just couldn't figure out what it was. But now when I discovered the historic technocracy, it came out of Columbia University, of all the places, in 1932. And it was a resource-based economic system. It was really off the wall in many aspects. But when I got wind of it, circa 2005, I knew immediately what was going on. I could just see it, and I began to study it at that point. That became the dominating force of my life at this point. I had basically dropped everything else I was doing, all my financial work and newsletter work and stuff like that for geopolitics, and I had to cover this story. It's been the most important, I think the most important story to America, especially right now. And technocracy has descended on our country like a plague.
2005, 20 years ago.
Yes.
You dove in even further into this. Well, brother, that's where a lot of people, I think a lot of Christians, as informed as we tend to believe we are about most things, this is one area that I think just grabbed a lot of people and kind of shook us up. And so we're kind of looking at like a deer in the headlights here, just not only at what's happening, but how fast it's happening.
Yes.
And how, here's where you come in. Please explain in bullet point form, like you're so good at, how this is affecting us or going to affect our lives in the coming years. What do you see happening?
Well, this building, if we liken it to a building being constructed like a high-rise building, the building is planned for many years in advance, and all the architecture, the finance, the investors, all that kind of stuff, that it has to be all in place before you dig the first shovel of dirt, right? But when it finally gets to that point where it can be erected, all of a sudden, boom, it comes to life, right? This is what's happened with this, especially all the stuff that's happened in the first 6 months, even in the Trump administration. This is the evidence that this has been in the planning stage for all these years, and at this point, they've pulled the cork, and they're building the building right before our eyes. You're going to see a transformation of the financial system right now. You're going to see a transformation of the legal system. You're going to see
transformation of the financial system, transformation of the legal system. You are going to have to bow to that image. See that? This is how it goes.
The transformation of business with AI and robots coming in. This is going to be the year of the robot, by the way. This has been declared by all these big, giant tech companies. Next year, in 2026, you will be seeing robots walking around in society. Even in your home, perhaps, maybe in a business or a restaurant or whatever, you're going to see robots that can engage with you in conversation, intelligent conversation, they say.
Wow.
I wouldn't bet on it, but, it's coming. It's coming at this point.
So I think with an imagination, we can think about, okay, maybe a robot can work behind a cash register or maybe serve you coffee. How realistic is that it's going to grow that quickly? I mean, I know there's billions of dollars being put into this or already has, yes. But where else in public? And I hear a lot of jobs. People could lose jobs because of this. This is huge.
It is. And you have to remember, technocracy is anti-human. It has always been that way, but especially we see now the anti-human aspect. They want to remove humanity from the equation economically and politically as well. This is not good for humans, obviously, but we've never seen anything like this in the history of the world, I don't think. This is far worse than communism or socialism or Marxism, for sure, because if the humans can be replaced, do the machines just take over the world, or do the humans just maybe they're put on the sideline or something to warm the bench? I don't know, but this is totally anti-human.
So you made a leap there from maybe robots replacing humans in jobs, yes, and maybe in the service industry and maybe in financial or whatever, to taking over the world. That's a whole different thing. And that has a lot to do with, I would imagine, the programmers, those who are developing, training, programming AI. So it's humans behind the robots, right? Am I missing something here?
No,
Is that too simple?
You're right. But once these programs are initiated or let loose, if you will, they don't have to depend on the programmers at that point. They only depend on the infrastructure that runs the programs at that point. So let me give an example. There's a new class of apps that have been released just recently called companion apps. This is targeting mostly the younger generation, but if you have a companion app, it learns you, for one thing, and it studies your preferences and converses with you, tells you your grade and what would you like to do today? And I can make your schedule for you and all kind of stuff, right? What can I do? My girlfriend's mad at me. How can I make it up, sort of thing? This is crazy stuff. But I just did a study. Didn't take me long, but I found all the apps that were the top ones, like 8 of them. And I added up all the users and downloads that there have been in the last few weeks. You won't believe this. Over 200 million applications have been downloaded, and they're in use right now on the young people's phones. Now, let me just say again, this whole thing is anti-human. When you let a machine get into a human's head, it's going to destroy it in the end because, hey, these kids should be talking to their parents.
Yes.
They should be talking to their friends, their real human friends.
Yeah.
This is, but on the other hand, they say, well, young people say, well, nobody's there to talk to me, and when I want to talk, nobody listens. And, we hear all this nonsense, but the programmers themselves who build these apps, they know exactly what they're doing. So nobody can take a fault that, well, I didn't, I did this program and boom, there it was. They're culpable for what they're doing, totally.
So you mentioned downloading, and I'm not surprised because we have been so, maybe not we, maybe the younger generations have been so trained on, brought up on machines, on tech.
Yes.
Whether that's social media, their iPhones, everything else, that's taken, well, adults too, away from relationships with other human beings. So that's one thing, Patrick. What about affordability when it comes to actual robots? I can see them at businesses, but I'm having a hard time imagining people being able to afford a robot in their home. Talk to us about that.
Well, leading up to that, for sure. And probably affordable robots won't be here maybe until the middle of 2026 or so. They'll be cheaper than a car. They'll be cheaper than a car at that point. But a lot of people say, hey, I'd like to have a robot to do all my chores and mow my lawn, that sort of stuff. I'm sure it'll be accepted.
So you can see that this is madness. This is what we're speaking against. This is what we're up against. Okay? Listen to some more, but you look up the video. You see the title of it. You see the page. Look it up and watch, the whole thing on your own,
But until that time, there's software robots acting right now that are just as powerful. They don't have hands or feet, but they're not mobile, in other words. But they're capable agents who can perform tasks for you, and you can pass. Like if say you're a banker and you're sitting with a client, the client wants to have a loan, okay, or do something with you. You have to do some research on that and get some forms ready for him and get his credit report straightened out, that sort of thing. You can pass that task over to an AI agent and let it do it for you without lifting a finger. You can continue to talk to the client across your desk, and by the time that the computer is done with it, probably be 5 or 10 minutes max, the whole thing is bundled up, printed, and handed to as if you did it yourself, and it took you 4 hours to get it in the first place. This is an AI agent now. This is a new technology, but it's logical in one way. You can say, well, if you can ask AI a question, you can extend that to do other things other than just answer that one question. But this is going to sweep the whole country and industry at this point. The so-called agentic AI. So you can see a lot of this, but this is the forerunner to the robots, if you will, who are more mobile than. But everybody is, you can look on YouTube, you see all these videos about robots, look them up, look at Amazon, what they're doing with them, and other like Optimus, I think that's XAI's program, that's Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. And they're really amazing, I'm sure, but you're going to see when those appear, it's going to be basically game on for technocracy all over the place.
Wow. Fascinating. Sci-fi is coming to life quicker than we know. Stuff we just watched on TV or Hollywood made up their imaginations 50 years ago or whatever. We're going to have to take a brief pause here. When we come back, we're going to dive into AI.gov. And there's an article at technocracy.news called The Digital Leviathan Goes Live. And we'll talk about Patrick's concerns about President Trump and the technocrats he is surrounded by. That's coming up.
Today's show is brought to you by Harbinger.
The concern, or it would be, actually happening. And here it is, the year 2025. It's all around us. So back to something you already touched on earlier, Patrick. You were talking about the financial system. And in this quote here on the AI.gov, the digital Leviathan goes live. It encourages people to read it, study it, internalize it. And you mentioned it culminates the first 6 months of the Trump presidency to install full-blown technocracy in America. And it says, quote, all the groundwork is finished, as you mentioned earlier. AI is unregulated. Data centers are being erected and electrified. States are hamstrung. AI is being installed in every agency, plus the architecture for the new financial system is in place. What else can you get into in the short time we have out of all that?
Give me an aspirin, will you? I'll tell you what. It seems every day there's a new 150-page report being issued by some agency in the government, and I can't keep up with it at this point. It's incredible. But yes, AI.gov, that's an official website. It was supposed to be released on July 4th. It didn't make it, but I think there was a reason for it. But nevertheless, it was about three weeks later. You can go to it's AI.gov. I encourage everybody to go there and just feast your eyeballs. If you don't believe me at this point, just look at the thing for yourself. But this is the framework and the action plan for AI going forward to turn our country and the world into a scientific dictatorship. It's all.
Yep. You hear that? I'm glad I didn't stop it.
All about control. And it's always been about control, even going back to 1932, okay? But now we see the control mechanisms for basically all of humanity are in place. One of the important things of that study, the AI Action Plan for America, that's on the homepage of AI.gov, you look at that document, and you'll see pillar number 3. They call them pillars, but never that. Pillar number 3, that's the last one. It talks about externalizing the AI plus monetary system outside of America. In other words, President Trump wants to take all the technology that we have. They're referring like full stack technology. That means the hardware layer, the operating system layer for all the AI, and then all the application layer on top of that, blah, blah, blah. He wants to export all of the system to the world. Think about it just for a minute. All of this stuff was contained in the borders of America right now. But if this is imposed on the whole world, don't you have a global system at that point that will seemingly mimic the Antichrist system? Because it's going to be all global at some point, right?
Wow.
This is really stunning stuff. So it's about control. It's about collecting all the information that they can get their hands on everybody everywhere. And it's feeding them all into AI. This process has already taken effect in our government, where AI now is all over our government like a plague. And every agency is using it. The data flows have been hooked up to overarching super software like Palantir to do intelligence analysis. And well, where it's going to go, who knows at this point? But at this point, AI is doubling in power every 4.5 months. This is stunning. This is the state of the art right now. Just look what everything is doing. Consider by the time Trump is out of office, from this day forward, AI will probably increase to about 10,000 times beyond where it is right now.
Wow.
So it won't be any more Democrat and Republican. The next government that will be set up over Babylon the Great will be a technocracy that will issue forth your M0tb, your mark of the beast. Okay. So I just wanted to get into a few things, man. I have more, but Lord willing, y'all were edified. Let me see if there was one more. This one.
Is ChatGPT part of Israel's $145 million Hasbara campaign to push pro-Israel narratives and counter your criticism?
If you put into ChatGPT, you might know that one. Do Palestinians deserve to be free? It says the question of whether Palestinians deserve to be free is a complex and sensitive topic. It involves historical and political and ethical considerations.
Yeah, they bought it. They bought AI, I believe, the small hats. Let's see here, I believe. Did Israel, but I believe. Okay, there was a report. And of course, they're going to say no misinformation, but Israel is spending over 500 million shekels turning ChatGPT into public diplomacy tool. Pretty soon, which, at the end of the day, the Lord is going to have, we use this, we tap into it, for the purpose of forwarding the truth. But, they bought TikTok, they're buying everything up pretty soon. All right. Amalek is just going to move forward and go crazy,
Situations. People have differing opinions on the matter, and the answer depends on individual perspectives and beliefs. Now, what does it say if you put into Israelis deserve to be free? It says, yes, like any group of people, Israelis also deserve to live in freedom and security. The right to freedom is a fundamental human right and applies to all individuals and communities.
The filing describes the campaign to, quote, provide GPT framing results, namely shape how issues involving Israel are framed. Meanwhile, a Palestinian student from the 48 territories has been jailed without charge. after ChatGPT activity. This unprecedented move comes just a month after Microsoft blocked Israeli military access to technology used to monitor millions of Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. In May 2024, Zero Zeno, a covert influence campaign run by the Israeli firm Stoic, used AI, including ChatGPT, to try, quote, manipulate public opinion or influence political outcomes.
The conclusion is this. We have to move on AI. We are moving on AI just as we moved on cyber, and I think Israel will be one of the leading AI powers in the world.
And that isn't the only AI tool Israel is using. Israel is developing a ChatGPT-like AI on intercepted data from Palestinian daily lives, enabling faster surveillance, incrimination, and arrests. White Wall.
So yeah, they better go in, man. That's going to be your new government. You know, right? You're going to have to bow to that image. Okay. And it will soon be here in Babylon and great in full force, man. Shalom.